64. So we're looking at Tuesday, April 16th. Regularly, we're going to be going farther and reading a bit of Chapter 5 with Outsiders. You have homework due tomorrow, which we'll talk about here in a moment. I learned we're going to talk about in a moment. Let's see, from there. If you're at home, this will be activated for you. It is a survey we're doing about Camp Tecumseh. If you went, to try to find out more about making it a better place as far as our end of it, what you liked, what you didn't like, places that you got to, with our counselors and stuff like that. Not for a grade, just to make the whole camp thing better, and I go through there and read all the stuff. Tomorrow we begin iLearn, and tomorrow is just a practice. You do have to bring your iPad charged with you. If you don't have a charged iPad with you, then they get sent to like a whole different room, and that's not my issue. Those of you with the charged iPad, you'll be there for an hour as we go through the practice test with you. And then to figure it out, if you're at home as you're taking a look at this, figure out the first 3 letters of your last name, and then figure out roughly where it's going to fit in there, and that's the teacher in the room will you be. If you're absolutely not sure, come talk to me and I can look it up. I have a master list of every single kid and where they're supposed to go, and I can look it up to help guarantee that you're in the right place. But for most of you, that should make things easier. Again, we have actual homework due tomorrow, which was the novel homework, or the Outsiders homework. We had the questions. If you did well on the quiz, you can tape in the quiz with the 4 pieces of tape. If not, then you're more than welcome to do any of the other options that are on there. We only have like 3 homework assignments left this year. I think we have 1 more Outsiders and then 2 after that. So we're almost done. At least as far as homeworks go, because I just don't get a whole lot of them. But now to you guys with our book. Let's see where we left off before. We had the drive-in, not the movie theater, but the food place they went to. That was at the very beginning. They showed people were fighting and hanging out, stuff like that. Then they went to the drive-in movie theater. The big difference with the drive-in movie theater that they went to is they had seats down in that little front area. And so that's where they were sitting because they didn't have cars. Plus the 2 girls had ditched their boyfriends because they were drunk. And then you had the greasers didn't have a car, so they just sort of walked in there. And they're hanging out in that front area. And then the Blue Mustang, which was the Socias again, who were tracking them down. Bob and Randy trying to find out where the girls went so they could beat up the greasers. The broken bottles show up a lot because that was when the Socias finally tracked them down. I think it was Johnny that broke a bottle and he handed it over to Tony Boy. And Johnny got his switchblade. We're like, we're going to cut a fool. They're going to break bottles a lot and try to cut a lot of fools, which goes throughout the entire thing. Once again, not plastic pop bottles. That does you no good. It just goes donk, donk, donk. And they have they giggle at you while they then shank you with their real one. Has to be the glass ones. And I hate for you guys to get into like a street fight and get yourselves beat up. That'd be embarrassing. And then we talked about the fountain in the park and then the drowning. And that's when Bob got stabbed by Johnny and they take off running. The question came up, I don't know if it was in this class or another one. Why does Ponyboy run if Johnny's the one that did the stabbing? And the issue, realize, as soon as Ponyboy wakes up, the first thing that Johnny tells him, you know the first thing he tells him was? He's like, I stabbed that boy. Right there, I stabbed him. He's dead. From me, this knife went inside of him, he's dead. And so as soon as he admits to a murder, Ponyboy is legally responsible to turn Johnny in. Because as soon as you know of a crime, as far as the police are concerned, you either turn that crime in or you become part of that crime. So Ponyboy now has a decision to make. Because if Johnny had said nothing, been like, I don't know, that kid must have fell down and hurt himself. That's kind of weird. But he doesn't. He tells Ponyboy, I committed a crime. Ponyboy either has to turn him in or run with him. And apparently, it's a pretty shady thing to do to go, you just saved me by stabbing that kid? Sucks to be you. You're going to jail. And then go call the police. So instead, Ponyboy runs with him. And as soon as Ponyboy doesn't call the police and runs with him, Ponyboy is also guilty. As far as the police are concerned, as soon as you know about a crime and you help someone cover it up, you are also responsible. So as soon as Ponyboy leaves the park with Johnny, does not go to the police, now he is running for legitsies. And if he gets caught, he probably won't get in as much trouble as Johnny, because Johnny did the actual shanking, but there would definitely still be issues from there. And the blue jeans jacket, I think that was from, what's his face? Dally. Because Ponyboy was all soaking wet, and he gave him like a shirt of Buck, who's I guess too big for it, but you'll legal with it, and then gives him money and a gun and a jacket to try and help things out. Who's she?
I have a question.
What's up?
If they were trying to attack him, isn't shanking him like self-defense?
And that's one of the things we're going to get to coming up, is that technically it's not. The reason being, Johnny does not stab the person who is attacking Ponyboy. Because in that part of the book, if you read it, Bob says, David, go get him. And so there's another guy that goes over and does the drowning. So if we use our imagination here for a moment, let's say that Aaron is busy drowning Chloe. And I'm like, oh no, Chloe, I want to save you. If I want to save Chloe, who do I stab?
Aaron.
I stab Aaron. That's not what Johnny does. Johnny goes, I'm going to save you. Shank, 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 and stabs the guy over here. You're like, well, maybe he was just confused. Maybe. But what does Bob wear on his hand? The rings. And so technically, it's not self-defense. What is Johnny doing?
Revenge.
Getting revenge. That's when it becomes, and once again, but you could argue against that, but that's why we have these things called lawyers. And lawyers step in, they can do a little arguing thing like, no, it was self-defense. And people are like, no, he stabbed him for the fun of it. And so that's why I'm not a lawyer. I just play one on TV. Delina.
Wait. I know you said this is for lawyers, but like, what if he was scared that the other guy would punch him if he attacked David?
And that's, once again, where the lawyer thing comes in. You could definitely argue that. Or you could argue that maybe he couldn't get over there and was worried that Aaron was going to drown Chloe too quickly. And I'm like, this person's right here, and technically it worked. But once again, that's where lawyers come in. Technically, it was not self-defense. It was revenge. But I'm sure you could do a good argument along those lines. All right, so now jumping to page 68, we'll pick up and try to read with you guys as much as I can to help you out. This should be the beginning of chapter 5. They've now, on page 68, they've run away. They are no longer back in their hometown. They went to Windricksville. They took the train, hopped off. In Windricksville, they went and found a church, and they went and they're hiding out in a church trying to wait until the heat blows over so there's no more bad guys looking. Well, not bad guys. I guess they're cops, but if you're a hooligan, then they're bad guys looking for them. I woke up late in the afternoon. For a second, I didn't know where I was. I mean, you know how it is when you wake up in a strange place and wonder where in the world you are until memory comes rushing over you like a wave. I half convinced myself that I dreamed everything that happened the night before, that I'm really home in bed. I thought, it's late and both Derry and Soda Pop are up. Derry's cooking breakfast. And in a minute, he and Soda will come in and drag me out of bed. Hiccup. Drag me out of bed and wrestle me down and tickle me until I think I'd die if they don't stop. It's me and Soda's turn to do the dishes after we eat, and then we'll all go outside and play football. Johnny and Two-Bit and I will get Derry on our side since Johnny and I are so small and Derry's the best player. It'll go like the usual weekend morning. I tried telling myself that while I lay on the cold rock floor, wrapped up in Dally's jacket, listening to the wind rushing through the trees, dry leaves outside. Finally, I quit pretending, pushed myself up. I was stiff and sore from slipping on that hard floor, but I'd never slept so soundly. I was still groggy. I pushed off Johnny's jeans jacket, which had somehow gotten thrown across me, and blinked, scratching my head. It was awful quiet, with just the sound of rushing wind in the trees. Suddenly I realized that Johnny wasn't there. Johnny! I called loudly. That old wooden church echoed me. Johnny! 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 I looked around wildly, almost panic-stricken, but then caught sight of some crooked lettering written in the dust of the floor. Went to get supplies. Be back soon. J.C. Unlike the thing that Mariah keeps yelling out loud in class, who does the J.C. here represent?
Jesus.
No, that's the one she keeps yelling.
Sorry.
Johnny K. So Johnny, not the one that Mariah keeps yelling for. I sighed and went to the pump to get a drink. The water from it was like liquid ice, and it tasted funny, but it was water. Those of you who went to camp, why did the water taste funny?
It's well water.
That's it's the well water, so it has that eggy smell to it. So, but once again, it was water. It wouldn't hurt you at all. It just has a weird smell. I splashed some on my face, and that woke me up pretty quick. I wiped my face off on Johnny's jacket, sat down on the back steps. The hill the church was on dropped off suddenly, about 20 feet from the back door, and you could see for miles and miles. It was like sitting on the top of the world. It was like charging kids points for being on their iPads when they have no need to be, when all the iPads are put away because they're busy reading. You have no idea why those iPads would even be out. But I guess they're put away now. The choices that we make.
I just had it open.
You're good. Don't worry about it. We all make our choices. When you haven't got anything to do, you remember things in spite of yourself. I could remember every detail the whole night, but it had the unreal quality of a dream. It seemed much longer than 24 hours since Johnny and I had met Dally at the corner of Pickett and Sutton. Maybe it was. Maybe Johnny had been gone a whole week and I had just slept. Maybe he'd already been worked over by the fuzz. Do you guys know what the fuzz are?
Please.
The po-pos are. And he was waiting to get the electric chairs since he wouldn't tell where I was. Maybe Dally had been killed in a car wreck or something, and no one would ever know where I was, and I'd just die up here alone and turn into a skeleton. My overactive imagination was running away with me again. Sweat ran down my face and back, and I was trembling. My head swam, and I leaned back and closed my eyes. And I guess it was partly delayed shock. Finally, my stomach calmed down, and I relaxed a little, hoping that Johnny would remember cigarettes. I was scared, sitting there by myself. I heard someone coming up with the dead leaves toward the back of the church, and I ducked inside the door. Then I heard a whistle, long and low, ending in a sudden high note. I knew that whistle well enough. It was used by us and the Shepherd gang for Who's There, Gesundheit. I returned it carefully, then darted out the door so fast I fell off the steps and sprawled flat under Johnny's nose. I propped myself on my elbows and grinned up at him. "Hey, Johnny, fancy meeting you here." He looked down at me over a package. "I swear, pony boy, you're getting to act more and more like Two-Bit every day." I tried unsuccessfully to cock an eyebrow. "Who's acting?" I rolled over and sprang up, happy that someone was there. "What'd you get?" "Come on inside. Dally told us to stay inside." We went in. Johnny dusted off the table with his jacket and started taking things out of the sack and lining them up neatly. A week's supply of bologna, 2 loaves of bread, a box of matches, Johnny went on. I got tired of watching him do it all, so I started digging into the sack myself. Whee! I sat down on a dusty chair and stared. A paperback copy of Gone with the Wind. That's Gone with the Wind. How'd you know I always wanted one? It's an old book from like the 1920s, set during the Civil War about a whole bunch of fighting that happened back then. But there is a scene where some dude gets all romantic with some chick. So they put that in there. It's a big part of the movie, because there was a movie made about it also, because they make movies about everything. But that's the book he's talking about. It's all about fighting in the Civil War. Johnny reddened. "I remembered you saying something about it once, and me and you went to see that movie. You remember? I thought you could maybe read it out loud and help kill time or something." "Gee, thanks." I put the book down reluctantly. I wanted to start it right then. Peroxide, a deck of cards. Suddenly I realized something. "Johnny, well, you ain't thinking up..." Johnny sat down, pulled out his knife, stabbed me in the gut. I started bleeding. I couldn't believe it. Sorry, I was just saying he was following along.
I already read that.
Johnny sat down, pulled out his knife. "We're going to cut our hair, and you're going to bleach yours." He looked at the ground carefully. "They'll have our descriptions in the paper. We can't fit them." "Oh, no!" My hand flew to my hair. "No, Johnny, not my hair." It was my pride. It was long and silky, just like sodas, only a little redder. Our hair was tough. We didn't have to use much grease on it. Our hair labeled us greasers, too. It was our trademark, the one thing we were proud of. Maybe we couldn't have Corvairs or Madras shirts, but we could have hair. We'd have to anyway if we got caught. You know the first thing the judge does is make you get a haircut. I don't see why. Dally could just as easily mug someone with short hair. I don't know either. It's just a way of trying to break us. They can't really do anything to it, like guys like Curly Shepherd or Tim. They've had about everything already done to them. And they can't take anything away from them because they don't have anything in the first place. So they cut their hair. I looked at Johnny imploringly. Johnny sighed. "I'm going to cut mine too, and wash the grease out. But I can't bleach it. I'm too dark-skinned to look okay blonde." "Oh, come on, pony boy, it'll grow back." "Okay," I said wide-eyed. "Get it over with." Johnny flipped out the razor edge of his switch, took hold of my hair, and started sawing on it. I shuddered. "Not too short. Johnny, please." Finally, it was over with. My hair looked funny, scattered over the floor in tufts. "It's lighter than I thought it was," I said. "Can I see what it looked like now?" "No, Johnny said slowly, staring at me. "We got to bleach it first." After I'd sat in the sun for 15 minutes to dry the bleach, Johnny let me look in the old cracked mirror we'd found in a closet. I did a double take. My hair was even lighter than soda pops. I'd never combed it to the side like that. I mean, it just didn't look like me. It made me look younger, scareder too. Boy, howdy. This really makes me look tough. I look like a blasted pansy. I was miserable. To pause real quick. The stuff they're talking about, the hydrogen peroxide, it's the stuff that your mom uses whenever you fall and scrape your knee. She like pours it in the cap and pours it on your leg and bubbles and you get all screamy. That's hydrogen peroxide. One of the things I did find out, they've been using that to clean scrapes and cuts for years because they always thought it did something. It turns out it doesn't. Actually, water works better than hydrogen peroxide. But they always assumed because it bubbled and it hurt that it was actually cleaning it. But I found that out one day with my daughters because I scraped her knee and I poured some on her knee and she was sitting there screaming. I was like, "Woman up!" She's like, "This doesn't do anything." I'm like, "It does too. Let me Google it. I'll show you." So I Googled it, hydrogen peroxide helping cuts. And it said, "That is a wives' tale. It does not actually help anything. It only hurts children." And I was like, oops. So I had to stop using it. So next time you get a cut and your mom pours it on, they'd be like, "No!" You just slap her. I'd be like, "Do that to me." I mean, your mileage may vary. I can't tell you what's going to happen after the slapping. But technically it's assault because it's not actually helping you heal. But it does work to change your hair color. It works like a bleach. Now, it's not going to immediately change your hair. Like if Jesse puts in his hair, he's not going to go ghost blonde and be like, "Woohoo!" But it's more like if you go to the pool in the summer a lot and your hair gets that lightened look to it, that's sort of what this does. It just works a little bit faster. So you could put hydrogen peroxide in your hair, go out in the sun, and it's going to sort of pulls the color out of it. Not immediately and not a whole bunch, but something like that. Where it's the same guy, he sort of dyed his hair from one color to a little bit lighter. That's closer to what it does. That's Brad Pitt. That's probably actual hair dye, but gives you the same idea. All right, back to Gone with the Wind. Oh, by the way, the knife they're using to cut their hair. When was the last time they used the knife?
The staff.
Oh, God.
So realize it probably has little bits of bob still on it. And they're sitting there using it to cut their hair. I thought about that when I was reading. I was like, wait a minute, isn't that the same knife that I... So yeah, same knife they just used to shake a kid last night. Johnny handed me the knife. He looked scared too. Cut the front... Oh, one more time, sorry. With the hair thing, only one of them is dyeing their hair. Why does Johnny not dye his hair?
He didn't stabby stab.
No, it had to do with the stabby stab. But yeah, we're going to find out he has like Hispanic, Native American to him, so his skin is darker. And he's like, "I can't dye my hair because I'm going to end up looking weird." He's like, "You're a lily white boy, so if you can have blonde hair, you'll be fine. But with my darker skin, I'm going to stand out if I have different color hair. So it's not going to work nearly as well." Maybe put your feet down for just a second. Thank you. Just checking. Johnny handed me the knife. He looked scared too. Cut the front, thin out the rest, and I'll comb it back after I wash it. "Johnny, you can't wash your hair in that freezing water in this weather. You'll get a cold." He only shrugged. "Go ahead and cut it." I did the best I could. He went ahead and washed it anyway, using the bar of soap he'd bought. I was glad I had to run away with him instead of with Two-Bit or Steve or Dally. That'd be one thing they would never think of. Soap. I gave him Dally's jacket to wrap up in, and he sat shivering in the sunlight on the back steps, leaning against the door, combing his hair back. It was the first time I could see he had eyebrows. He didn't look like Johnny. His forehead was wider where his bangs had been. I mean, it would have been funny if we hadn't been so scared. He was still shivering with cold. I guess we're disguised. Bemis?
Do you have a charger I can borrow?
Yeah, but we talked to Belle. When you come back and I hook you up. I leaned back next to him sullenly. "Welcome." "I guess so." "Oh, shoot," Johnny said with fake cheerfulness. "It's just hair." "Shoot, nothing," I snapped. "It took me a long time to get that hair just the way I wanted it. And besides, this just ain't us. It's like being in a Halloween costume we can't get out of." "Well, we gotta get used to it," Johnny said with finality. "We're in big trouble, and it's our looks or us." And I started eating a candy bar. I'm still tired, I said. To my surprise, the ground blurred, and I felt tears running down my cheeks. I brushed them off hurriedly. Johnny looked as miserable as I felt. I'm sorry I cut your hair off, pony boy. Oh, it ain't that, I said between bites of chocolate. I mean, not all of it. I'm just a little spooky. I really don't know what's the matter. I'm just mixed up. And we'll pick up reading more tomorrow. I know, that's the drawback right now between the responsible kids and the lazy kids. Nicely done, Jay.
All right.